Okay. So first of all, since I'm talking to a group of teachers, I would wish all of you, very happy Teachers Day tomorrow. I know it's in advance, but like to wish you a very happy Teachers Day. It's really, my privilege and pleasure to be talking to a group of teachers. Teachers, in my view, add a lot to this society, and they are the people who help change many lives. And I know in iTeach you're doing a lot of work that's changing the lives of many kids you work with. So excellent job you're doing, and congratulations for that, and keep it up. I will talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion. It's a very broad topic. 10 minutes is not going to be enough to do justice, but I'll just touch upon a few topics, and then we will probably pick it up sometime later if we have an opportunity. So we always talk about diversity and inclusion, but what does it truly mean? So I just thought I'll break it down simply in my view of what diversity means and what inclusion means. For me, diversity really means differences, right? And diversity in a country like India is all around us. Diversity means differences in the way people look, whether it's the age, whether it's the gender, whether the way they dress, whether they're tall, they're short. These are all diversity traits. Diversity also means the way people act, right? Which is how they talk, how what languages they speak, what food they eat, what religion they practice, what backgrounds they come from. Diversity also means the differences in terms of your skills. Some people are good with more artistic, some people are more analytical, some people come from a different academic background, right? And also diversity is the way people think differently. And I think that is very, very important, because many times you don't know something about a person because what they're thinking is not always obvious, and you make judgment on that. So diversity is, all around you. It's the differences that exist in all of us. Now, what do we do next? Diversity you cannot escape in a country like India, because we are such a diverse nation, right? But more important topic in diversity inclusion is the inclusion part. Now, what does inclusion mean? I mean, some people say inclusion means, oh, I will include somebody in that, but that's not the right way of looking at it. Because if you say, hey, I will include somebody in my circle or this not, you're actually kind of saying that you're superior to them, that you have the authority to include them. What about them including you too, right? So in my view, the way I describe inclusion is that it's like four things, right? First of all, understanding the differences. And second is the respecting those differences with people, right? Third is learning, working well with other people, knowing these differences, right? And the fourth is learning from each other using these differences, right? So understanding the differences, respecting the differences, working well together, and then learning from each other. And learning is probably a very important point here, because if you really think, the only time you ever learn in life is when you come across something different, right? And sorry, can others be on mute, please? Okay. So, so what I was saying is that learning is only possible when there are differences. Because if everybody thought the same way, if everybody studied the same language, if everybody ate the same food, if everybody just thought similarly, then how will we ever learn, right? So the very important business case for having diversity in a workplace or in our lives is because we learn from that. But we need to be open-minded to be able to do that. Sounds very logical. So why do we struggle? Why do we always struggle to bring diversity inclusion in our life? I think there are two reasons for that, right? In my view. One is the biases, right? Biases means our preconceived notions about things, people, situations, scenarios, etc. Very important point, because whenever we look at somebody who looks similar to us, who dresses up similar, speaks same language, we are more comfortable with that person than somebody who's not, right? We also have biases where we say, okay, we have some past experience, working with a certain group of people, a community, or a division, or whatever, and we make judgment of the next person based upon our experiences, right? And third, we have preconceived ideas, because many times we think, oh, people from North India behave like this, or people who are engineers behave like this, or people who are teachers behave like this. And every next person who comes in that category, we kind of box them in, right? And these biases can be conscious or subconscious, because many times, or unconscious. So because many times we don't even realize that you're making a judgment, but we do, right? It's very important that we stay conscious on that. And the second reason we find it difficult, in my view, is ego. Because once you know the differences, we need to know what do we need to change to overcome the differences and respect and work well. Many times, if you are working with somebody who is younger than you, then you might say, hey, I'm older, why should I bend, right? Or how can a woman tell a man to do something? Or how can I change my view when you can't change yours? So ego becomes a bottleneck in that as well, right? I'll probably share a quick example in a couple of minutes I have. A while back, I took on a sort of a managerial role at a very young age. And I was about 25 years of age. And as a result of that, I had about 10, 12 members in the team. And many of them were older than me. Yeah. And in particular, there was one particular person who was probably 15 years older to me. The person was probably 40 years, I was 25. And I had a lot of struggle in that point, because I struggled to say, okay, do I respect that person more than other people? How do I tell the person what to do? What if he's not doing the job? Can I call him out? How do I work with that? At the same point, the other person struggled as well to say, okay, this person is more senior in terms of the job role, but he's not, he's quite young to me, right? And how do I open up? Will he understand? So we had those differences, and that was a good learning experience for me. So luckily, one of the mentors I had, the person helped me kind of overcome that. And he told me a few things. My mentor is, first of all, if you ever manage a team or a person as part of your job, it definitely doesn't mean that you need to think that you know more about a particular thing than that person, right? You don't need to be the smartest person in the team just because you're a manager. It's just that you have a different role than the other person. But we all bring different skills to the job. So you need to make sure that you understand, acknowledge that, right? And whether a person is older or younger, you got to respect them for their experience and knowledge, because there are people who have specific knowledge and you got to respect it, right? Um, Thirdly, I mean, you need to be obviously conscious of the way you talk to people, right? And again, it's nothing to do with age, but you need to make sure that you are not saying things which people can take as personal, right? You need to make sure that you have that divide when you are asking somebody to do something or saying they have not done a good job, then you communicate in a nice, in the right way. At the same time, you need to build a little bit of personal connect with people, because if they don't have that comfort, they will not talk to you, right? So having the connect personally, but still making that difference when you need to do that. And most importantly, you need to understand and explain to the person that the fact that I am your manager doesn't put me any superior or you inferior. It is just that we have a different skill set and we have a different role to play, right? You are a subject matter expert in something. I have a managerial role because my skill is that. So as part of my role, I probably have to tell you a few things to do because I understand that best. But how to do it, you know it best. So we'll have an agreement like that. So I implemented that in that. It took some time. The person opened up. I really think that that advice helped me. And working with a lot of young people and high flying young people these days, I always advise them to think about this topic, because generational diversity, this is what we call it, is a very important part and topic in India, especially given the millennial population and Gen Z, etc. And I think this is a very important thing I would say for all of you to remember. I would probably just say one or two quick things before I run out of time. I think I have another minute or two. Is that it's a big topic. I have just talked briefly on this thing. I'll be very happy to talk to you guys again at some point. But diversity is all around us. Inclusion is a choice we make, right? And there is a famous thing. One of the authors said, it says, diversity is like getting invited to a party, but inclusion is getting invited to dance in that party. So, it's a very simple statement, but it means that if diversity means you are put a bunch of different people together, but if they are not being inclusive to each other, then it fails the purpose, right? So what I would recommend you, right, is think about, understand the differences first. Don't ignore them. When you see the differences among people you work with, understand them. Second, develop the respect for those differences, because what you think different for other person thinks is different about you. So we need to respect that for sure. And very important is that in our behaviors, try not to say things or act in a way which unconsciously you can hurt people. Because if you don't understand or respect the difference, that is very likely you can say that, and then you won't be able to reconcile that easily, because it's not that you're doing it deliberately, right? It just happens. So, remembering that. And last, I think most important, keep an open mind, because we are in a changing world. Diversity is all around us, and we don't know everything. And it's okay to say we don't know, but we are in the process of learning. So keeping an open mind will definitely help people get better in terms of working together and making a more diverse and inclusive place to be. I'll probably end at that. I hope that little speech was worth something, and thank you for that.